some players have raised quite substantial amounts of money, and obviously to get that to work quickly, they were looking at portfolios, and that led to these situations where portfolios actually were traded again at a premium, despite portfolios usually having also some very difficult assets in it. So for us, buying portfolios is not really an option, because we still find much more interesting property if we kind of pick it asset by asset, but obviously that takes a long time, and pricing is kind of moving ahead of us, so you have to, act relatively quickly until, that premium is gone in every market.
Yeah, it's a timing issue. I mean, in an ideal world, you would build up asset by asset and you'd carefully select them. But if you want to scale up fairly quickly, you have to be looking at, if you have the opportunity, to be buying portfolios. I don't, take the UK for example, I don't envisage seeing the type of portfolios that Mo bought a couple of years ago coming up. There would be perhaps the one recently that sold, the Wave portfolio, 4 or 5 assets. That's kind of what we're going to see. And in a competitive market like the UK, you're having to use your skill, experience, well, actually not just the UK, across Europe, all your local teams and their local knowledge, more to sort of dig out value-add assets rather than what's necessarily going to come along on the hopper, as it were.
Okay, good. Mo, do you see that kind of window for the UK has closed in terms of buying the kind of portfolios, as Mike said? Do you see any of those coming up? And if so, would they be in other areas of Europe, maybe where you've got an opportunity to buy a portfolio rather than asset by asset, or is the strategy now to go far more for that asset picking approach?
Really, we're covering both ends of the market. If there are large portfolios that are attractively priced, they're accretive and complementary to our asset base today, we would take a very close look at them. We do see smaller one-off assets are attractively priced. However, there's a challenge of assembling a portfolio on an asset-by-asset basis. So as we build out our regional teams, we will put in acquisition capability into the field that will allow us to go after some of these smaller deals and kind of surgically add to the portfolio. The other thing is that we still see a lot of opportunities in the portfolio transactions, because obviously sellers are assembling these portfolios, putting in a mix of assets, and if you can underwrite the good assets and the assets that are a little bit more challenging appropriately, some investors are shying away because of the assets that are less than core in that portfolio. We take a view that, okay, we'll operate these assets, we'll create value. If they're not core to our strategy, we'll exit them in short to medium term. Also, multi-product portfolios, office, retail, industrial. If there are portfolios like that come around and you have a source of capital that can invest in all asset classes, you clearly have a competitive advantage vis-a-vis the rest of the market. So we do see some of those coming from time to time, and if you have capital and you can allocate these assets to different pockets, then you definitely have a competitive advantage.